All right, man. Great to talk to you. This is our first episode here of the Making the Cut podcast. I'm your host, Jacob from Made the Cut, here with my co-host, Peyton from Big League Analysis over on TikTok. Great to
How you
talk to you.
doing?
Great to talk to you guys. First episode. We're super excited. Our first series thing that we're going to do here is something we call Does This Make the Cut? Which essentially is going to be where we give a take, throw it up against the wall, and see if it sticks. You have the first one, man?
Yes, I'm gonna go off of this one is based off of hype around this player that I think is completely warranted. And diving into the numbers, I have a spreadsheet I made up, which I think is really interesting to dive into, and that's going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto has the best debut season for a Japanese pitcher since Hideo Nomo. Does that take make the cut?
That's really tough because there's some really, like, in my opinion, at
Do
this
you want me to
point,
jog
kind
your
of
memory?
underrated. Go ahead.
You
Go
want me
ahead.
to jog your memory on a few seasons? So like Kodai Senga
Go.
last year was a 2.98 ERA, 166 innings. Daisuke Matsuzaka ERA a bit over 4, but he pitched 204 innings. Yu Darvish to 2012, 191 innings. He had a ERA just under 3, 3.9. Um, Obviously you have to consider ERA pluses and errors, but based on WAR, the best debut season from a Japanese pitcher was Hideo Nomo, 4.7 B WAR or R WAR.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to say if we're going to be going kind of generally by the metric of WAR, I'm going to say no for one
Mhm.
reason. It's really hard to accumulate that amount of WAR when you're probably not going to be throwing a ton of innings. I know they're going to be managing
That's
his
fair.
innings load because he's coming over from Japan and they have a little shorter seasons. On top of that,
Yes.
he has not been the most durable pitcher in his time over there. I know he's thrown a ton of innings, but he hasn't taken on that threshold of like a
Mhm.
200 innings guy. So I think it's going to be hard for him to do so in terms of those accumulation stats on a rate basis. I think you can make a good argument. However, I think we have to appreciate just how good Senga was last year. A lot of people
Yes,
kind of
please.
overlooked that because he was unfortunately playing for a team that did not go anywhere, especially
Yes.
relative to the expectations. There were a couple big names above him in that rotation at the beginning of the year with Scherzer and Verlander, of course.
Verlander.
But man, I mean, the season he had last year was just insane, especially with his K per nines. One of the best K per nines in baseball by a starter, if not the best. I'm not exactly sure on that, but so I'm going to say, does he pass that in terms of not only the workload, because I know he pitched over 160 innings, but does he pass that as well on the quality? I think those are two very high standards to
Mhm.
meet. I'm going to say he gets close and probably falls just slightly below that.
Okay, so I think that's a very fair take. I'm gonna give you an interesting stat because I broke it down in the spreadsheet because StatHead is the best. What
Sure
do you
is.
think what do you think the average ERA for a Japanese pitcher in the rookie season is?
I'm going to say 3.72.
Okay, so the average ERA for a pitcher coming from Japan in their rookie season is 4.03.
Really?
Oh
Okay, a
three.
little
A
higher. All right.
shade under, but think about it. That includes like the bus, right?
Right,
The
right,
K,
right,
the
right.
K, the Kayagawas in the world. What?
Exactly.
However, the average ERA for a Japanese pitcher in the rookie season who had a positive WAR, so someone who basically just wasn't batting practice,
Awful.
right?
Right, yeah.
The average ERA for those guys above a zero point 0.0 WAR is 3.47. So
Wow. Okay.
Japanese pitchers are the real deal.
They sure
Like,
are. Oh
like,
yeah.
like right away. Like they hit the ground running unless it's either they get pummeled or they're just good, right?
Right. Yeah, and that makes
So
sense because a lot of those guys aren't, especially like historically speaking, were not known for really having a lot of power stuff. So the only guys that were making it over were guys who really know how to dice up batters with
yes,
their
oh my
like
God,
low 90s. I can think of off the top of my head, Sashi Iwakuma was a great one. He came up right around this,
underrated.
yeah, right around the same time as Darvish, and unfortunately ended up getting overshadowed a bit. There's a number of others as well. Masahiro Tanaka is one that no one
Yeah,
really talks about anymore, but he had a great couple seasons, and then his debut season, of course, was really good with the Yankees. So for
I,
sure.
I'm gonna throw out a name that I feel like net doesn't get talked about a lot is Takashi Saito, Dodgers
Yeah,
reliever.
yeah.
Came over, had a low twos ERA, lit up the league with a 200, 218 ERA plus rookie season.
Ah,
Doesn't get
crazy.
talked about,
No,
dog.
just an amazing
Dog.
reliever, and somebody
Yeah.
who I think also you being a part of that mid 2000s relief core that kind of existed in MLB at the time. You had Mariano Rivera, Billy Wagner.
Of
It was
course.
just so hard to get any shine, especially for a position that even at that time was still not being valued as highly as it is now.
Yes,
So
exactly.
you have to break through so many like different ceilings to even be remembered from that time period. There was another guy for the Diamondbacks. I'm forgetting his name right now. It was a side armor. Young Hung Kim was amazing for a couple seasons there. Had an over 200 ERA plus one year for the
Mhm.
Diamondbacks, I believe in 2002. So for sure, my one thing with Yamamoto is going to be the endurance, especially because I know the Dodgers are going to have to lean on him a little bit. With the fact that they have a lot of kind of unproven pieces in their rotation. So I don't know exactly how he's going to respond to that. I wouldn't be surprised if he went out there and threw up a 2.5, but a lot of people are super high on him. I'm not as high just because it's going to be a heck of an adjustment to come over here and like
Yeah,
face a new type of hitter.
yeah, I think that's fair. I think long term I think he's going to
Yes.
be worth what he came. If you break down the numbers and just watching him, I think it's clear that he's a star.
Yes.
Will it translate right away? You never know. Maybe it's a rough couple months, figures it out, but I think it's a fair take.
For sure. I think it definitely is a legit one. I think it's going to be close, and that could end up aging like milk, honestly, that he doesn't have as good a season as Senga. Okay. My take now for you, does this take make the cut? The Atlanta Braves will still be baseball's best team in 2024, at least in the regular season, even though the Dodgers did obviously add a ton of pieces.
This comes down to one thing. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like, because I'll say this, right? Let's first, I'm gonna talk about the Braves.
Mhm.
You look at the Braves, their offense last year, it was historically good. And the thing is with their offense is that that is repeatable for the most part, right? Ronald Acuna Jr. hits the crap out of the ball. I know he has that knee thing right now, and it looks like things are heading the right direction, and hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
Game's better with him on the field. His numbers, hitting wise, I think are easily repeatable or rough around the same. I think the only thing that may decrease about his game is maybe the stolen bases. Staying 72 years in a row in this game, even with the new rules, seems like too much of an ask.
Yeah.
Um, I think Matt Olson is going to be a 50 threat again. I don't think Austin Riley's had his best season.
Mhm.
But the thing with the Braves, the important thing is their pitching staff is going to be better.
Right.
Strider, there's no way Strider posts a near 4 ERA again. If he does, I got my face.
Yeah.
I'll die on that hill. I'm fine with that.
For
Chris
sure.
Sale, Chris Sale is a very interesting redemption project. He was great. What's funny about Chris Sale last year, he was elite, but only got smoked by the Orioles.
That's crazy. That's
Like,
great.
like,
Yeah.
like if you took out starts against the Orioles, I think his ERA drops to like a whole run or like near it. So like he was great, but regardless, he still had those blow up starts. But still,
Yeah.
like he looks good with the Braves in spring training so far. I like what they're doing with him. Max Fried is healthy to start the year. They have, I love Hurston Waldrop. I think he'll be up by
Mhm.
mid year. AJ Smith Shawver had flashes last year. You know,
Bryce Elder, I think, is a chance to
Bryce
be one of
Elder,
those guys that's a threshold guy. He's
yeah,
I don't think he's ever going to post an ERA that's going to be south of 3, but I could easily see him settling in there and almost like taking on that role that Rick Porcello did around the mid
yes,
2010s of just being that guy who goes out there, gives you 30 starts, gives you a mid threes to high threes ERA, eats
four
up a bunch
maybe,
of innings. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, just eats up a bunch of innings on a really good team. I agree with you. I think that the biggest thing that's going to make or break this take essentially is going to be the health of the Dodgers rotation
Yes,
relative to the health of the Braves rotation.
exactly.
But I will say one of the things I don't want to underrate here is the
Mhm.
all-time quality of the Braves offense. At this point, we've almost become numb to it because they've had it for what, at this point, 16 to 18 months. Like this ridiculous, let's not forget about Marcelo Zuna and
Oh yeah,
Sean Murphy, like two other
exactly.
amazing hitters. And we can talk about Ozzy Albies, we can talk about Orlando Arcia, which had a good year last year. The Dodgers, while they do have maybe the best top three we've seen in 50 years, maybe the best top three of all time. We don't really know. I could see Betts going out
On
there,
paper.
yeah, hitting 35 dingers. Same for basically everyone in their lineup has a chance at the top three, to do things that are otherworldly. However, past that, Will Smith is your four hitter. I love Will Smith. I think he's really underrated. I think he
Mhm.
should be every year in that best catcher conversation, especially in the NL. However, Will Smith batting fourth is not even in the same universe as the top six of the Atlanta Braves offense. So
No,
I think that the Dodgers will have to excel in pitching wise in a way that the Braves don't have to. And then, like I said before, like their injury proneness is going to be an issue. Glass now has not given you 150 innings. I don't know if he ever has. At least has been a number of years. Bobby Miller's a rookie coming off of a pretty good rookie season, but still, it's tough for a rookie in his sophomore campaign.
Mhm.
Walker Buehler has had many injury issues. Hopefully, he's going to be over that this year, but it's still
Double
tough.
TJ.
Yeah, it's tough to count on that for reliable innings. And then, of course, Yamamoto coming over, like I said, load management, right? It's going to be very important. They don't overstress him. So, there's a lot of question marks in that rotation when it comes to the longevity of it. Kershaw's not going to be back till the mid part of the year
Mhm.
that the Braves just simply don't have. On top of that, the Braves starting rotation as a whole is younger. And
Mhm.
that's pretty big deal when you're talking about wear and tear on arms, which just generally was what, was causing arm issues in the game today.
Yeah, like yeah, because that's kind of what was going to be the overall point. But is that with the Braves, like I two guys that we failed to mention, you have is Charlie Morton, right? You have a guy like
Yeah.
Charlie Morton who had a pretty downish year, but still, like that's a reliable guy at the back end of the
Yeah.
rotation. And the lineup, for example, like you can just list off the names. They're going to produce, and some of those guys or may have career years next year. Like that's in
Yeah.
the realm of possibility. Same
100%.
thing with the Dodgers, but like you said, starting rotation is it's very interesting because like you said, like Walker Buehler is an insanely good starter.
Yeah.
Postseason pedigree. When he's on the field, I think he's a career ERA below 3, but his he's still recovering from Tommy John. They're not gonna, at the very minimum, even if he's healthy, I doubt they're gonna stretch him to an insane degree, right?
No, no.
Same thing with Glass now. Obviously, he's healthy now, but like I want to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
know what I
another
mean?
one, that of course they have a absolute glutton of amazing pitching. Dustin May is a guy that pretty much no one's
Yes.
talking about at this point, but still has one starter potential in my opinion. But again, he's been injured a lot, so it's like, can he prove that he indeed does have that ability to perform that to that level at the major league level? I'm not sure, especially relative to now. Now they've almost got a problem with too many starters that all have injury issues. So it's going to be initially it's going to seem to be a problem to get, a lot of guys respective innings. And then past the midway point of the season, how many of those guys are still going to be around? Are you still going to be turning to, what admittedly is a pretty decent area of depth for them? But if they're going into their depth pieces relative to the Braves sticking with their, all
Yes.
like elite guys, I think we know who's going to have the better record there.
I will say this is that I think the Dodgers have constructed one of the greatest rosters on paper we've ever seen. We didn't even
Yep.
mention the addition of Teoscar Hernandez. James Outman is going into his second full year. He was very promising at times last year.
Yes.
Um, I think I still though, on paper, I don't think it's some astronomical difference to a Braves team that's already played together.
Yeah. That's a great point.
So,
That's a great point.
although I definitely could see a world where the Dodgers say screw it, win 116 or something like
Sure, for
absurd,
sure.
absurd.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to say that the Braves will still have the same or an extra win or two.
For sure. I just want to see one of these teams, one of these two teams we're talking about, do something in the playoffs. I know the Braves won in
Same.
2021, but to be honest, that was a
A different
fundamentally different
team.
team. Yeah.
Way
And
different.
I want to see them win with the pieces that they have now. I want to see, honestly, I'm down for a modern dynasty. I want to see someone go out there and do a Giants and win 3 times in 5 years. Like
Yes.
baseball, I love that it's very democratized, but I think we're starting to see a little bit of the consequences of that over the last World Series when it comes to kind of interest by the fan base.
Yes.
Fans love narratives. And if there aren't teams that are perennially challenging for championships, I think that it can become hard to invest in some of the overarching narratives. Like the Dodgers, this great elite team that gets beat in the playoffs every single season. The only
Yes.
World Series championship they have over the last 15 years was in a shortened season. You need that kind of that backup in order to really solidify that perception. Braves are another team, right? They're amazing. They're great,
Mhm.
but they only have one over the last 15 years. Same thing. But honestly, the Astros, the only thing that we really have close to a modern
And then
dynasty. And then there's that championship that was tainted, and that's kind of put egg on the face of the whole franchise going forward for a
yeah.
while. But
Yeah, like that because I was gonna say that like the Astros have had objectively a dynasty, but at the same time, it's for whether it's right or not, they have been blamed a lot for what
yeah,
they've been. It's either they're blamed too much or blamed whatever. Like that's a whole other
yeah,
discussion. But that's the thing. Like they're for as long as that core is still on the team, that's always going to hang over their heads. Even though I think at this point it's a bit like, come on.
I
But
think
yeah,
honestly, I think you can make a decent point that as long as Altuve is on the team, because everyone else is pretty much gone. There's Lance
yeah,
McCullers is still, but he was a pitcher. As long as Altuve, even though Altuve, pretty
didn't.
notably didn't engage, he
Yeah, I
still
know.
is left over from that group. And so, as long as he's on the team, I think there's still going to be a lot of that talk. I myself also agree it's a little bit overdone. A lot of these guys that were on that team went to other teams like George
Yeah,
Springer and had a lot of success. So I don't think it made or like it was the make or break for them in that postseason. The big problem, of course, came down to the World Series that was so close. So any inch that they possibly could have gotten
yeah, of
could
course.
have made the difference. But at the end of the day, we're a number of years past that now. So yeah,
Yeah, I it's time to let that go.
for
But
sure, man.
that's a whole other time.
For sure.
Second, I'll give you my second,
Okay.
and then we get this going. Seen this discussion recently just because this player, there's a chance he's played his last game in Major League Baseball,
Mhm.
and that's sad to say because he's one of my favorite players ever, and he has a really interesting case for Cooperstown. So here's the take: Joey Votto is a Hall of Famer. Does that take make the cut?
100%. I
I
think
said
to end.
Votto. I said Votto, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You said
Okay.
Votto. There's a lot of Joeys of prominence in Major League
Not
Baseball,
Joey's.
but 100% to me, anybody who knows anything about analytics of any type, not even advanced
Yes.
analytics, right? If we're going to look at anything but counting stats, which by the way, he still has a compelling case when it comes to counting stats, but
Yes.
let's just talk about his analytics for a second. This is a guy who has a over 140 OPS plus over the course of 15 years for his career, 350 plus home runs, over 2,000 hits. Those are counting stats, but when I'm talking about like the rate numbers, almost a 3.45 for his career. Again, we mentioned that off camera as well, that
Yes.
a lot of people underrate how much he was a complete hitter. They almost look at him now as, oh, that guy just walks over and over and
Walks.
over again. He's always going up there to take walks. No, I mean, he was batting perennially 300. Up to
Yes.
his career high for a season is 337, I believe. Like he was a complete
Yes.
hitter. We talk a lot about Juan Soto being the modern Ted Williams. He was Juan Soto before Juan Soto was Juan Soto. He was just a complete beast. He had some decent fielding numbers as well in the middle part of his career, if you want to throw that in there. He really was a complete first
Yeah.
baseman, a decent runner as well. Has the MVP award. He has the accolades to back it up. A lot of silver sluggers. Unfortunately, he's never had a chance to win a World Series. I'd love for him to go to a team, now that he
Hmm.
is a free agent and kind of almost turn into like a mercenary, lefty versus righty platoon bat that could potentially help a postseason bound team, but doesn't have the World Series. But his Reds did have some playoff exposure at least. So to
Yes.
me, it's a no doubter. It's a no brainer that he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I think that like you have a career 409 on base percentage and people are talking about you like you just watch pitches go by.
Yeah.
This discounting his cup of coffee in the big leagues in 2007 where he hit 321, just so it's context. He has 8 full seasons of a 300 batting average.
Yeah.
Like, come on. The
Seriously.
294, it's a 294 career hitter. We're picking straws.
Yeah.
This is he has 7 on-base titles. That means something.
100%, 100%. I mean, we kind of talked about this as well a little bit off camera, but him and Zach Greinke, I think, are great comps there, where it's like both
Yes,
were extremely elite for a period of their career. Then they were very good as well. Votto, since 2018, obviously has not been quite the same hitter. Since really
of
2017, he's
course.
not been quite the same hitter, but he still has been an incredibly productive hitter over that time period. Kind of shifted his game, became more power oriented.
Hmm.
You can't just look at the top 7 seasons of a guy's career and then say beyond that, it kind of doesn't matter. Like he has pretty much every component you need. Same with Granke, where it's like he's put up the stats that he's put up over such a long period of time. He's eclipsed every single. You have to go out of your way to try to find things to write these guys off for. Right, where it's like, oh, he's going up there and
Yes.
taking all these walks. Granke's not actively looking to overpower hitter. If he's not a strikeout guy, he's not as dominant as some of the other guys in the Hall of Fame. I mean, come on, there's room for all types of elite ball players, and both of those guys are just consummate elite ball players.
And like Joey Votto is the face of the Reds for the last
Yes, yes.
20 years
Well, if you're gonna
of the
make
century of the century.
exactly, if you're gonna make a Mount Rushmore of Reds, he's gonna be right up there with Pete Rose, Joe Morgan.
Yeah.
Like it's a no brainer. So I mean, if we're gonna go just by like stature as well, which is a great point, he 100% should be in.
Yeah,
He
I think
arguably could have won in 2017, by the way. We're talking about MVP awards. Him and Stanton, that was a very close race. And
yeah,
honestly, there's something to be said that maybe he could have taken over Stanton, even in a season where Stanton had 59 home runs.
that's not
But
crazy.
still, I mean, his numbers speak for themselves, and he doesn't have anything to prove. He shouldn't have anything to prove to Hall of Fame voters. Also, a very likable guy. I know that, in some ways he's had his like cantankerous episodes and stuff like that, but to me, it just adds the overall charm of Joey Votto. So if
Yeah.
he should get the popularity vote as well.
Yeah, no, I'm totally on board.
Okay. Awesome, dude. All right. My last take. Does this take make the cut? Rafael Devers is the most underrated superstar who plays in a big market today.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, wow.
I have some of his numbers up because I've been doing some like community posts and some
Yes.
polls and stuff
Okay.
like that, and he's never considered for this stuff, right? Right now, through his first 7
Okay.
years, by the way, he's 27. He just turned 27, right? He's been in the big leagues for 7 years. We're not really talking about the fact that
Sneakily,
he
sneakily, very sneakily.
sneakily, right? Basically was a teenager when he debuted. He has 172 home runs. That's 33 home runs per every 162 games he's played.
Yes.
He has a 280, 343, 510 for his career so far,
Hmm.
124 OPS plus, 853 OPS. Absolutely nuts levels of production in terms of his consistency. He's played since 2019. He's played over 80% of his team's games every single season. And during that time, he's hit over 34 doubles every season, and he's had a home run rate of
Hmm.
over 30 every one of those seasons as well.
I think I think that's a very fair take. Like I'm even though I am a Yankees fan, don't ignore the Cubs hat. I just love this hat.
For sure.
Um Devers is unreal. Obviously, he is the father of my team's ace, Garrett Cole. I acknowledge Rafael Devers. Um, he is he is insane. Like I think the most impressive thing about Devers, and this is kind of an aside, is how good he is at generating power off of pitches you shouldn't be doing that on. There's this one pitch. Sure someone can find it if they're interested. He took Yoan Duran deep on a pitch that was 99 at his ankles. Low and in on his ankles, turned on it, home run. Paul Sewald, 0-2 pitch, literally in the righty's batter's box, shot it over the left field wall for a homer. Like, this is a guy who is dangerous on any type of pitch. He hits everything. I think he gets judged pretty hard for his defense. I know he makes a
Yeah.
lot of errors, and he's not a great defender. But still, what he does with the bat year in and year out, a premier offensive position, should definitely be acknowledged more. And I very much enjoy that take. I think that's very fair.
I think that one other thing I want to mention about this is just the fact that you can almost start to get to a place where we see these guys in terms of what we believe their potential is versus what the results have been. A lot of people saw Devers as a perennial 300 guy. They saw him as a guy who go out there
Yes.
and hit 330. He has whip fast bat speed. He has,
Yes,
coming up in the
exactly.
minor leagues, people are saying, oh, he has really good plate discipline as well. And, as great as he has performed, his plate discipline has not been through the roof. His career high in walks is 62 for a season, right? He a lot of times will double up on that when it comes to strikeouts, if not more than double up on that. However, that's not to say he's not an extremely impressive quality hitter. 3 straight years now, he's had an OBP over 350 and a slugging percentage over 500. That's insane. And also, when you consider the fact that he's going into his prime, right? He isn't even in his
Yes.
prime yet. If he can learn to more selectively apply his ability to hit bad pitches, we could see him still go out there and hit 330 and then take that power that he has and apply that to that profile. So I think that he still has some growing left to do for sure. But yeah, I think that he doesn't get the shine that he deserves, partially also because he does play for the Red Sox. And right, if you're playing for the Red Sox, there's a certain echelon you have to hit to be considered a superstar. You have to be an Ortiz going out there and blasting 50 home runs,
Mhm.
or you have to be a Pedroia going out there and winning an MVP at second base. It's very difficult to ascend to that realm just because there is such that high standard. But I definitely believe that he deserves to be considered in the superstar conversation. And honestly, at this point, he's the face of that franchise, and he deserves to be seen as such.
He definitely is. And I mean, I'm a bit biased because a lot of the I keep up with Devers and the Red Sox a lot, but a lot of the full broadcasts I catch are Yankees Red Sox, and he obliterates the Yankees.
Oh, sure
So,
does.
to me, he's the reincarnation of Brooks Robinson.
Right,
But
exactly.
or
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Brooks Robinson, but you get the point.
Oh, for Mike Schmidt.
But yeah, Mike Schmidt, like yeah, you understand what I mean. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, I like that take.
Definitely. All right, we're going to go on to our next section where essentially we're going to have three strikes to name as many players as we can in a category that's presented to us by the other person. You have the first category, correct?
Yes, I do. And I'm gonna. This is an interesting one.
Okay.
Um, so you have three strikes, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And so here it is. The top five starting pitchers' pitches in whiff rate. So,
Starting
okay.
pitcher
So,
pitches and whiff rate. Okay.
so which five starting pitcher individual pitches have the highest whiff rate?
Okay. Now, is this going off of qualified innings pitched last year, or is this going off of almost like a rate that like they could have thrown 50 innings?
It's going off of a minimum 100 plate appearances against the pitch. All of
Okay.
these guys pitch like a very good amount of innings.
Okay. All right. So first one's gonna be Ghost Fork. I know that.
Yes, at number one. Number one,
Number one was the Ghost
59.5%.
Fork.
Yes.
Garrett Cole Slider should be up there.
No. I
Garrett Cole
threw it,
Slider is not up there. Okay,
threw
that's
it
a
a bit too
strike.
much.
That's crazy. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. He uses that a lot of times to kind of keep guys off his fastball. So I could see that
Exactly.
almost like turning into like a semi ground ball pitch at some points, almost like sawing guys off. It also has taken on characteristics of a bit of a cutter as well. So I know
Yeah.
that can't be
Well,
great for its whiff rate.
think about your logic of how pitches play off each other. That's your hint.
Right. Blake Snell curveball.
Yes.
Blake
Number
Snell
two,
curveball.
56.3%. So you have
Uh,
one strike.
okay. And there's some. I'm sure there's some in here that might surprise me as well. Correct.
Honestly, maybe. I think all of these make sense, but you may not think of them right in the moment.
Okay. Okay. Right. And it's all going to be pretty much. I'm assuming breaking balls relative to like fastballs or changeups. Um,
Okay.
Spencer Strider's slider. I know it doesn't have the
Yes.
greatest peripherals, but he plays that pitch off really,
Exactly.
really well.
Exactly. Yes. It has a 55.3% whiff rate. Just because the fastball is so dominant, you have to sell out for it.
Right. And that makes perfect sense to
So
me.
it's number three. You have two left and two strikes to work with.
Okay. Chris Sale's slider.
No.
That wasn't up there. He had 11 Ks per nine last year. So that's why my initial impression of that might be that his slider would have been that dominant. This last one's going to be kind of tough.
Two more.
Zach Gallen knuckle curve.
No.
No. Okay. All right. All right. I'll take it. 3 out of 5.
Okay.
I'm happy with. What we got for last two?
Shane McClanahan's changeup.
Okay.
54.1%.
I'm a little surprised at that. A little surprised, but
And
you know what?
and this one kind of makes sense because it's kind of like the most nasty pitch ever is Tyler Glasnow's curve.
That you know what? That makes sense too because I was
Because it
thinking
tunnels so well. It tunnels.
right, right.
Same thing with
Exactly.
Strider.
That makes perfect sense. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. I like that a lot. That question is great, man. All right, so I got one for you now.
Okay.
Name as many of the top 5 runners in terms of bolts in 2023 as you can before you
Ooh.
get the 3 strikes.
Okay.
So this one's fairly intuitive, but it's possible you might miss one or two.
Okay. So first, I'm gonna go with Bobby Witt Jr.
Easy, number 1. Nice.
Okay. And then I'm gonna move over. You see, I think he uses speed a lot this year, but actually, okay. Corbin Carroll.
Nice. That's number 2.
Okay. Trey Turner.
Number 3. You're naming them off in
Okay.
order. I'm very impressed.
Okay. No, why? Because the thing is, I didn't know if Trey Turner was using the burners as much this year, but I knew the first two were 100%ers when I thought about it. Okay.
Now, there's a pure number of bolts. So some guys, of course, yeah.
There's a weird, like, I know there has to be like a weird name in here. Okay. I don't think he played enough. But what if? Okay, how about this? Ellie De La Cruz.
Number 4.
Oh, no.
Crazy, right? Number 4. He finished 4th in all of baseball despite not making his debut until near the All-Star break. Crazy.
He runs so hard that he has to be there. Okay. So now I have one left. So
and this one is a little surprising just because he wasn't like one of the top steals guys last year. He did definitely performed well in that regard, but this one might surprise you.
So I'm trying to think of a guy who just has like a lot of hustle, like
Mhm.
just like,
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, because that definitely
or just
plays
like
in
a guy
there.
with a lot of
Acuna
guy.
Jr. could have been atop this list or, very close to it.
Yes,
And he just doesn't sell out every time, which I respect for sure.
exactly. So what if? So I'm trying to think of a guy, maybe not steal wise, but maybe a lot of doubles, a lot
Mhm.
of triples. Um, is it okay? I'm gonna throw a name out there.
Okay.
Jose Siri.
No, but that's a very good guess. It's a very good guess. He's top 15.
Okay, okay. I'm okay with that as a loss. Okay.
I'll throw something out here while you're thinking, okay? You know
Okay.
who's in the top 10? He's not top 5, but top 10?
Trout.
Jeremy Pena.
Yes.
No,
He
not
hot.
not and Trout wasn't even in there. Not crazy. Jeremy Pena
Yeah.
is top in bolts. I was very surprised by. I know he has
Huh.
good speed, but I didn't think that he had like, top 10, 30 feet per second bolt speed.
Okay, wait, I have it. I have a guess. I
Okay.
This could hit.
Okay.
Julio Rodriguez.
Yes, boom, nailed
Yes,
it. Cleared the
yes.
board. Nice,
Let's
man.
go.
Nice, dude.
I was thinking, I'm like, who has wheels, but like isn't just stealing all these bags? That was like, yeah, that's how had to think of.
And that's a great way of looking at it as well because it's like Ji-Hwan Bae was
Yes.
also top 10 and I believe he's faster than Julio, but you also have to go by the amount of times they got on the amount of times they gave themselves
Yes,
the opportunity to do these
exactly.
bolts. Julio made a lot of contact last year, played in a lot of games, so he definitely was able to accrue what is not a rate stat at a higher level. Nice, mate. One strike. I'm very
I,
impressed with
I'm
that
I'm cool with that. If I whiff on the next one, I'm good.
for sure,
So
man.
your next one's actually gonna be kind of a tough one,
Okay.
just because. But it's more. I more bring this up because I wanna talk about this when whether you get it or not, right?
Okay.
So name the five players since 2010 to have 15 triples in a season.
Charlie Blackman
No,
did not have 15 triples in a season. That's
no.
crazy. Since 2010 specifically.
Yeah, since 2010 because there's only been five.
Has Kevin Kiermaier done it?
Um, no.
No,
Blackman's career
dude.
high was 14. I just checked it.
That's
14.
crazy.
Fell
Okay.
short. Okay, so
Oh,
you're at two. I'll throw this at you.
okay.
Um,
I know
I
Curtis
you know what's
Granderson, I know
crazy?
did it. I just don't, he had 20.
2007.
Yeah, but that
2007.
was a
Yeah,
little earlier.
that
Yeah.
was crazy. You know what's crazy about this though is that
Hmm.
three of them happened in 2011,
That's
and they're
okay.
all in that. They're all in the NL.
They're all in the NL. Oh my
Two in the East. Two
goodness.
in the East. I'll give you that because you have one more left. Two in the East. NL
Two in
East
the
2011.
East.
Who had wheels?
Oh, that's Michael Bourne.
No.
He did not have 15 either. Oh, this is crazy. It's a little embarrassing too, but you know what? It
No, it's
is
a hard
niche.
one. I
It's niche, but
I throw a hard one
I
at
really
you.
like it. I really like it.
But when I
Tell
tell you
me.
these names, okay, so Jose Reyes,
That makes sense. I can't believe I didn't guess those names.
Shane Victorino.
That one's a little surprising
That's
because
it.
he was
Yeah, yeah,
never elite speed.
yeah. Dexter Fowler.
I was gonna say Dexter Fowler. I was
Yeah,
like, there's
you,
no
you
way
need
he
a
hit enough
cores
for
one.
15. Yeah,
Angel Pagan.
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's
And
insane.
then no, this last one is actually the craziest because this one I was like, when?
He did play
Eddie
in
was
AT&T. Go ahead.
Eddie Rosario.
You know what? I feel like deep down in the back of my head, I had something in there that was telling me
Listen,
Eddie Rosario, but
no shame at getting those because I purposely I know that was a hard one. It was just more just like I wanted to have a moment to remember triples because I think triples are
yeah,
awesome.
it's
And think about
crazy.
this. Jose Reyes, Jose Reyes had 16. That was more than like seven teams had this season. The
That's
2023.
crazy, dude.
Like
Yeah,
triples are so fun. But
they
like
sure are. You know
I
what
think
really
I
has
think
hurt triples in terms of like as a concept in baseball? Two things. People bringing in like fences. That's a huge thing. In Comerica
yeah,
Park, it used to be
yes,
triples alley. They brought it in,
exactly.
kind of
Yeah, yeah.
killed the triples over there. And the second thing, of course, is just the understanding of analytics. It's the same thing
Like
as
you
like
don't get
stolen
out of
base.
third.
Don't get out of third, man. When is it worth
Exactly.
it to have a run? Especially the thinking goes, if you're fast, stay at second. You'll score on a single. It's the same thing as
Exactly.
if you score from for third on a single anyway.
Yeah,
Ground
like,
balls, ground outs, stuff like that, of course.
but like, it's more fun.
I know. I want more triples. Hey, Corbin Carroll should be your favorite baseball player if you love triples. 10
I
last year.
love
Yep.
Corbin Carroll is genuinely one of my favorite baseball players.
Me
So
too. He's
yes,
so
I love
exciting to watch.
triples. I want to
Me
see a
too.
triple, dude.
Dude,
Come on, let's bring him
seriously.
back.
Seriously. All right, I got the last one for you. Now, this one is,
Okay,
you have to name the seven. So I got two
seven.
more
Okay,
here for you.
okay,
You'll get some of these, but I'm very curious to see if you get all of them. Name
okay.
as many of the seven players who've struck out at least 300 batters in a season since 1990 before you get the three strikes. Since 1990.
Since 1990,
Yes.
pitchers with 300 strikeouts.
In a season.
Okay, Garrett Cole.
That is one of them in 2019. 326.
Okay,
Nuts.
Pedro.
Yes, Pedro Martinez did it twice.
So 1990. Okay, so seven of them.
There's seven of them. You got two.
So I think a lot of these have to be in the 2000s because guys threw innings. Like
Some of them, but I have to admit, dude, like you kind of have nailed, like you got Pedro, but there's actually less in the 2000s than there are in the 2010s.
whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So Verlander.
Yes, yes, Verlander. Nice one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
2021,
Okay.
if I do remember
Okay.
correctly.
Randy Johnson. Let's get that out the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. I,
He
okay.
had
Okay.
he had, I believe, 6 or 7 seasons
Yeah,
of
because
over
he's
300.
he's kind of the greatest lefty ever,
Yeah.
maybe. Okay, so it's three more.
Three more.
This is gonna get okay. Kevin Brown.
No, Kevin Brown did
Okay.
not do it.
That was a weird one. That was a weird one. I thought that might hit. For some reason I thought that may hit. Um okay, if there's more in the I'm trying to think of maybe a more recent name that I'm missing. Because who ate some innings a bit? Well, Strider didn't get there this year.
He did not
He fell
quite.
short.
No.
He fell short. He fell
I
short.
also miscalculated. It's 8 players. The one
Okay,
guy
okay,
I
no problem.
had below in the different column. So you got four
Okay,
more.
okay. I know Lemons probably fell a bit short.
He did
Um,
indeed. Yes, he never quite got to 300.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very close. 290s.
That's so weird to me. I feel like he would have done that. Okay, what if we threw out a name like who even? No, he wouldn't have got there. This is actually a pretty tough one.
Yeah, it is. And there's some guys in here where it's like you think of them as, I'll give you this hint, really good strikeout guys, but not, you wouldn't necessarily think of them as 300 strikeout guys.
Okay. I know he had a lot of innings, so maybe he did it. Tim Lincecum.
No, never got to
Okay.
quite the 300.
Okay,
That's a
so now I
strike.
need yeah, so now I have two strikes. So
Yeah.
now I need to chill. Now I need to chill. So I said okay, so I had Johnson, Pedro, Cole.
So far, you have
Um,
Verlander,
yeah,
Johnson,
Verlander.
Pedro, and Cole.
So it's four more I'm missing.
Or more.
Wow.
I'll give you, okay, I can give you
Yeah.
this. I'll give you a couple hints now. This guy played at one point in his career with Randy Johnson.
Oh. If I like trick question myself here and botch this one, I'd be so mad. Schilling.
Yes, Schilling,
Okay.
I believe,
Oh,
did it
Schilling.
2 or 3 times. Pretty insane.
Yeah. His career is erased because he talked too much.
Yeah, seriously.
He had the
Dude,
he talked
yeah.
too much. Just
Yeah.
talked too much. For better or for worse, talk too
For better
much.
for worse. Oh, yeah.
Um,
So we got 3 more.
okay.
I know there's one guy you probably just will not get, but there's 2 of them are pretty obvious when you think of strikeout pitchers from the last 15 years. Okay, I'll give you another hint now. I'll give you another hint. We've talked about him so far in this episode.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go with dude, wow. This is actually a lot. This kind of Kershaw.
Kershaw
Yeah.
got it. 301.
That actually
And
that's a hard one because I don't think of him as a guy who just gets a bunch of whiff.
no, he's more of that kind of exact the location type guy. But yeah, he had a couple seasons in there where like
Okay.
240, but that was his only one where he got like over 280.
I'm gonna throw his name out there just because if I end, it's over. John Smoltz.
No.
Okay.
The last 2 are Max Scherzer,
Oh
who
my
snuck
God.
over there in 2018.
No.
And this last one's gonna make you a little bit more. Chris Sale had 300
Oh my God.
strikeouts.
That's so sad.
in a season. I want to see exactly what the year that was. Yeah, Chris Sale had 300 strikeouts in a season in 2017.
I
308 strikeouts.
I'll say this. I'll say this. Sale doesn't make me upset. Max makes me very upset
I
because
get
I
you.
love Mad Max.
Oh, he's so
No,
good, dude. He's so good.
that's such a hard one for no reason. Because for some reason my brain automatically just thinks of innings pitched.
I was trying to get you to, I was baiting a little bit into Nolan Ryan because that's why I said
Yeah, I was like,
1990
no.
because
Yeah, that's
Ryan
what
did it in
yeah,
1989. So you're
exactly.
like 1 year off.
I thought Ryan, I'm like, no way. In the night, listen, if Nolan did that in the 90s, that's crazy.
Right? Dude, but he did
Yeah.
do it in
He got
89.
close. He got really close, I
Yeah,
guess.
he sure did. All right, man.
Okay.
So we'll move on to our last and, I mean, arguably the most anticipated part of this episode, which is going to be
Yes.
our all-time Yankees draft. So how this is going to work essentially is we're going to fill out an entire lineup, right? That's all 9 positions. We're not going to have our pitchers hit because, of course, we're not going to. We have it so as a DH as well. We're all going to have an infield utility guy, an outfield utility guy, a
Mhm.
starting pitcher, a righty relief pitcher, lefty relief pitcher, closing pitcher, and then just for the fun of it, a manager as well. Right at the end, I wouldn't be drafting my managers in the 5th round, but I guess you do you.
The first overall pick, Joe
Exactly.
Girardi, Aaron Boone.
Joe Girardi would be the best first overall pick, dude. Okay. All right. So in terms of like the order of the draft, as this is our inaugural episode, I'm feeling nice. So if you want the first overall pick, I'll throw it to you. In future episodes, we can do like a coin toss or something, but I'm comfortable with giving you the
Okay.
first overall pick. Also as a Yankee fan. I feel like I
Okay.
gotta show you that respect.
Even though I have the Cubs hat on, I am a Yankee fan.
Yes, yes, yes.
This hatch is so cool. To
Hey,
see
dude,
connect.
you're a Chapman fan. You're actually such a fan of Chapman that you became a fan of the Yankees and the Cubs.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I
Exactly.
was rooting for them hard that year. Okay, I'll take the first pick. I feel like it's like first pick in the Yankees history.
Yeah.
Let's like I'm gonna cut to the chase. It's Babe Ruth. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like
There's no choice.
no.
If
Okay,
you
that's it.
manage to fumble that, I was gonna be extremely happy. But
Yeah, I would have ended the call.
exactly. Seriously, dude. That would be like you had to have had like a stroke or something mid-episode and
Yeah.
said somebody else.
Okay.
I have to take the number 2, which would be of a similar echelon of misses if I
Yes.
didn't take him, which would
Yes.
be, of course, his teammate, Lou Gehrig, arguably the greatest first baseman of all time. Only got to play 14
Close
full
to it.
seasons. Unfortunately, because of ALS, one of the best baseball players of all time, and the most dependable baseball player of all time,
Bingo.
aside from Cal Ripken Jr.
Bingo.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That's
take it, Lou Gehrig, number 2 overall.
okay. So I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move. I
Oh, and
mean, like,
a little qualifier here as well for the
okay.
audience listening. We are going to be taking these guys based on what they accomplished as Yankees. So there are some guys like Ichiro, for example, who we wouldn't
Yes.
take, even though he had an amazing run with the Mariners because he was a basically just replacement level player for the
hmm
Yankees.
Yes, exactly. I think it's an important thing to state just because
Yeah,
like you could get pretty crazy if you stretch that out.
for sure.
Pause. So I think for my second pick, I'm gonna go Mickey Mantle.
Yeah,
Greatest switch hitter ever. Like,
that's a solid pick, my man. Solid
yeah, I
pick.
mean, like
Yeah,
you can't really miss with 500 plus homers and
seriously. And that's one thing about the Yankees I do just want to state here is that when we're talking about like all-time lineups, there's very few that you would, if you were going to draft all-time lineups, the Yankees would be
yes.
up there just because of their glutton of outfielders, just an
Yeah,
insane depth.
it's crazy.
So you kind of can't go wrong. I, of course, then have to go to the best celebrity dater of all time, right up there
Oh,
with someone else we might end up picking, which is going to, of course, be Joe DiMaggio. I have
yeah, I
to
was gonna
go out there
say
and
at first
stick
at,
him. Go.
at
Thank
first
you.
I really thought you were at first when you said that, I was
I
like,
can't
wait,
pull
is
the
he
trigger
gonna
yet. I can't pull the trigger yet.
Yeah,
I
that's
think DiMaggio has a ridiculous,
he's a resume.
ridiculous history. He has a resume in comparison to someone like um, someone else. I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
it.
someone else that,
Yeah. Who he shall
okay.
shall not be named yet.
Yes.
Okay.
This may be controversial among Yankee fans, but I mean, if we're talking about players,
Yeah.
right? Like we're talking about players, how good they were. I feel like I have to pick A-Rod. Like
That's
there's an
fair.
argument. Like okay, let's be honest. Obviously PEDs, whatever. Like let's strip
Yeah.
away PEDs, which is I know like oh it's not. But like if we're being honest, like statistically, because I don't think there's drug testing in our hypothetical league. Um,
Well, I'm gonna say no for today.
Okay. Maybe down the road.
Yeah.
A-Rod is arguably like maybe the best infielder since integration. I think the
Yeah.
only, like if you really think about it, like Pujols maybe probably is a bit better, didn't have the best
But was
stat
at
cap.
first base relative to shortstop and third.
Exactly. So like in war wise, A-Rod hasn't beat, but he's arguably the best infielder since integration.
Yeah.
Like you could make that argument.
That's a great pick, man. The next question, this is where it kind of gets down to the meat and potatoes of it, right? Because it's like, now, do I take from a position of strength, because there's a lot of outfielders left on
Mhm.
this board that are Hall of Fame levels, or do I try to kneecap you by taking guys that are a little bit, the positions, we'll just call them not as depthful. Uh, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to get him off the board. My team is going to have the greatest resume
No.
all time in terms of celebrity dating. I'm gonna get
Okay.
Jeter off the board.
Okay.
I love a lot of other Yankees a lot more than Jeter. Don't get me wrong. Jeter is overrated in the annals of Yankee lore because of what he managed
Okay.
to accomplish as the leader of that team. However, I still have to appreciate he's arguably the greatest hitting shortstop of all time when it comes to
Mhm.
his cumulative stats. Had a lot of really good rate seasons. Yeah, he was disturbing with the glove. I know he wasn't the best with the glove, but there's no one else for the Yankees. So I basically win that position by taking Jeter there. It's a little early. I'm happy with the pick.
I will say this because I feel like I'm an unbiased, objective Yankee fan.
Mhm.
Like Jeter is undeniably overrated.
Yeah.
However, people take it way too far.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like this dude's one of the greatest postseason hitters ever. He has 3,000 hits. He's many seasons with like a over 300 batting average. Like he probably should have won an MVP like the year Morneau won, I think. Like
Yeah.
like come on. Like I feel like we're to a point where the disrespect's gotten so bad it's like a clock. Like can you please reset
Exactly.
and
I'm
respect Derek
scared.
Jeter?
Yeah, exactly. I'm scared for my stature as a baseball fan whenever I
Yes.
say anything nice about, and that's probably a little bit over the top, right?
It's
A
it's way over
little
the
bit.
top. Like I understand he's a Yankee and he probably broke a lot of people's favorite teams' hearts with how clutch he
Yeah.
was in the playoffs. Like emotionally, Derek Jeter probably gets too overrated because people talk about him like he's a top 20 player ever. No. But
Yeah.
undeniably one of the greatest shortstops ever. And the thing with the fielding too, I will say this. Jeter's probably historically is a bad defender.
Yeah.
However, like we see with advanced defensive analytics now, the more information we get, the more we look back on those times and we're like, wait a second. Because like Bobby Witt Jr., not comparing Derek Jeter with the glove of Bobby Witt Jr., not at all, not even close. But he had a negative on DRS and like a very high outs above average.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jeter just because probably would have been a positive defender, but there's a good chance. That's why when you rely on analytics too much to describe guys, that's where you run into that issue.
You
So
really do.
he's definitely a bad defender. Don't get me wrong, but let's chill with the Jeter hate. Rant over,
Seriously.
rant
Seriously.
over, and strategically, I have to do it back to you. Some people may say this is too early, but for simple Yankee lore, I have to take the greatest at his position.
Okay.
I'm jumping the gun. I'm going Mariano Rivera.
Okay. Yeah, I was
You
thinking
can't get
that.
both of them. You can't
Yeah,
get both of them. You can't get
exactly.
both of them. I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
And that's kind of what I was thinking here. And I think that it's the same strategy, which is you have to win where you can win, because we're gonna end up kind of
Exactly.
washing, and like the outfield, for
Exactly.
example, you'll have Ruth, so you'll have the edge there. But DiMaggio, Mantle, with all these guys, I'm not going to name otherwise too. It's like
Yeah.
you're going to end up getting to a place where it's like, okay, do you want the guy with 600 homers, the guy with 700 homers? With things like closer, it's like I love some of these other closers the Yankees have had, and I will of course name them
Of course.
at an appropriate time. However, none of them can even. Mariano Rivera has the highest WAR for a Yankees pitcher, not even starting pitcher, pitcher period. He's far and away the best closer. So, and you know what? You know what?
So good.
He'll give your team two solid innings at the back end of the game, not one, because he comes from that era where he was doing that every single time he's going out there. He's
Yes.
going.
Yes.
So there you go. Your game is 7 innings now instead of 9. I think that's a
I
fair
think
take.
I think Mo discourse is hilarious because when people try to argue against Mariano Rivera being the GOAT, there's literally nothing you can say.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really
It's
is.
there's
ERA
Like
plus, best of all time. ERA for his career for the amount of innings pitched, best of all time. Like
the
just those
moon
two
stat in the
numbers.
postseason, the
Yeah,
moon
that's
stat where
great.
people, yeah, like there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing you could say. It's
Seriously,
crazy.
that's insane. Okay, so now my next guy. There's a couple guys I can take here, so I am gonna go strategic here, because I do believe he actually is up there in the pantheon of the
Mhm.
greats of all time for the Yankees. And also honestly, at this point, to a start to a career, one of the best of all time. Period.
No,
I'm gonna take the Judge. I gotta take the Judge. Um, when we're talking about guys who've been retired already for a number of seasons, it's easy to kind of like gloss over some of their current stars.
Mhm.
Aaron Judge's career OPS plus. I don't know. A lot of people don't love the advanced analytics so much, but I'm gonna hear me out here. His career OPS plus is over 160.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. It's really insane. But on top of that, you know how many home runs he's averaged per 162 games in his career? 50.
Is it 50? Yeah.
50. Yeah. And then on top of that, he has the second best home run to at bat ratio in Major League Baseball history behind Mark
Mhm.
McGwire. Better than Ruth, better than Bonds. It really is insane how good he's been and how good he's been relative to the amount of shine he gets. Again, I almost feel like the Jeter thing's happening to him a little bit,
A
where
little
people are
bit,
like,
yeah.
oh, he can't stay on the field. So we're going to write off this all-time caliber career. I want him to go out there and have 3 straight seasons of 160 games where he hits 55 to 70 home runs in a
Mhm.
season. I want to see him get his shine. And I mean, again, fourth overall, am I jumping the gun? Maybe. I need Aaron Judge on my team, dude.
Honestly, I think that's fair. I I judge anti-judge stuff makes me upset because he's genuinely one of the most likable players in the sport.
He's so nice and he's such a like
Yeah,
quiet guy. He wants his team to win more than anything. You can tell. I mean, he last year, why did he end up missing all those games? Not
he
because
ran through a
he
wall.
ran through a freaking wall, dude. Like he obviously wants his team to win. So yeah,
If he
the
played
anti-judge stuff is corny.
if he played anywhere else, he'd literally be Mike Trout. There's like I know people say Mike Trout's boring. If Aaron Judge played anywhere else, it'd be like, oh, Aaron Judge is so boring.
Instead, he basically is Darth Vader to the Death Star because
Exactly.
he's on the Death Star. Like
Bingo.
that's not his fault. Anyway, go ahead.
So this is actually so now I'm in an interesting spot because
Yeah,
I'm going over what I could do
yeah,
because I could like handicap you in a position,
yes,
but at the same time, like I could just shore up something
yeah.
and like
To me, there's a pretty clear pick on the board right now that I really want. So I'm really hoping you don't pick him, but we'll have
because
to
you
see here.
have because right now I'm trying to think who you'd have.
Right now, I have Gehrig,
Yeah, yeah,
DiMaggio,
yeah.
Jeter, Judge.
I just remembered who you have, so I
Yeah,
think just because like we're talking about big games here.
yeah. Big
We're talking
games,
about
the
big
biggest
games.
games.
The biggest games ever. This is the Bronx Bombers versus the Yankees. Speaking of
Exactly.
bombs, who else would I get to finish up this elite outfield than maybe the greatest World Series hitter ever besides my two other outfielders? Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson. That's a completely fair take. Dude had almost 600 to me, one of the quietest near 600 home run careers we've ever
Mhm.
seen. 560 plus home runs. Nobody talks about Reggie Jackson in the GOAT conversation, even respective to his position. I don't think he's one of the greatest of all time. I do think he is well, he's not the greatest of all time, but he's one of the greats of all time. So on top of that,
Mhm.
nobody shined brighter under the hot
Not
lights of
even
the postseason.
modern day wise, the stuff he did in the World Series, if you go back, like he has five World Series championships. A lot of them, three of them were in Oakland. But for the Yankees, because we're talking about that, against the Dodgers in 77, he had five homers, a 1792 OPS in the World Series. And then the next year against the Dodgers again, did the same exact thing. Oh, he had two homers this time. Oh, yeah, but he batted 391 with an 1196 OPS.
The
Like this is a
absolute clutch of clutch.
yes,
I
yes. And
I I really appreciate that pick.
yes, because now and because Mantle has the most World Series homers ever. And I mean, I don't Ruth was great in the World Series too.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
just
And
a,
you shored up in terms of the clutch department. I'm really glad you left me my guy because
okay.
I really
I'm
wanted
wondering who
this
you're
guy,
getting.
Ricky Henderson. Best
Ah,
leadoff
okay.
hitter
Yes,
of
yes,
all
yes. Okay,
time.
okay, okay.
A lot of people kind of don't think about his
Okay.
time at the Yankees very prominently in his lore just because he was so good in Oakland. He broke all his records in
Yes,
Oakland. He won his
of course.
MVP in Oakland. However, in between breaking the steals record and winning his MVP, he actually had his one of his best power seasons ever with 28 home runs. He was a perennial like near 300 hitter there while also batting or also having an OBP over 420, stealing 60 to 100 bases a
Mhm.
year. Close to his basically his prime, in my opinion. He might not have had his prime season, but that was his prime in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Ricky Henderson, plug him at the top of that lineup, and just watch him walk and then run around the bases with abandon.
Damn, that's a good that's a good pick because, like you said, you just don't really think of him as a
No, and
Yankee.
unfortunately, neither really did the administration who had traded for him. He was actually heavily
Yes.
mistreated over there, kind of told
Yeah.
stop showboating and stuff like that before it was cool to bat flip. He was actually one of the, like, not inventors, but like, he made bat flipping cool back before people kind of like considered bat flipping to be. So I have a lot of
Ricky's the
respect for
best.
him. He really
Ricky's
is
the
one of my
best.
favorite players. Him and Randy Johnson are top
Yeah.
five for me.
The Rock stole from him because Ricky was the first person to address himself in the third person.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
Another famous thing with Harold Reynolds, he's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's Ricky. He's the best. I love Ricky Henderson.
Oh, so good.
I'm gonna go. Okay, so I'm gonna go, and I'm between.
Sixth pick for you.
Actually, I'm gonna save this because
Okay, that's
I
fair.
think I think I have leverage with this just
Okay.
because I've two guys I'm happy with.
Mhm.
But you know what? I'm gonna get some more pedigree.
Okay.
Let's get
Pedigree.
a lead. Let's get a leader in here
Okay.
because I didn't get Jeter.
Mhm. That's fair. That's fair.
And I have a few guys who are a bit, off can go off the wagon. Ruth,
Exactly. Oh,
eat too many
wagon. Yeah.
eat too many hot dogs, stomach ache. Mansell, God knows what he's doing on an off day.
Yeah.
And A-Rod, he's like probably staring at himself in the mirror while like,
Injecting steroids. Oh, yeah.
Jerry started just looking at himself. Um, so I'm gonna go with Yogi Berra.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Let's get
Arguably
some.
top three catcher of all time. Top
Yeah,
five.
sure. 10, yeah,
Sure.
a lot of rings. Let's
Yeah.
get him.
But go ahead, man. Throw him on the team. So now,
Player manager.
and
No.
I think that he inevitably is the number one catcher in that position. However, I am
Yes.
happy that to report that there are some good other catchers. So I'm
Yes,
feeling
two other
okay.
great options. Yeah.
Two other really good options here.
Yes.
I now this is interesting because I can now do the same thing that I did earlier, where I can kind of try to kneecap you in a certain position, or
Yes.
I can try to go ahead and shore up something in terms of depth. I
Hmm.
think I'm gonna have to kneecap you for second base. I'm gonna go Robinson Cano, uh, one of the
Okay.
best second basemen of all
Okay.
time. People don't talk about that enough. Robinson Cano actually has the second most home runs ever for a second baseman. He was a Gold Glove perennial fielder. A lot of people
Whoa.
talked about him. A lot of people talked about him like he was a lazy player, but the truth is that he honestly was just Acuna before Acuna was Acuna.
It's
He
too
wasn't
too nonchalant.
yeah, too nonchalant. He was too smooth, man. But the dude literally like was blasting 30 home runs a season, winning
Ooh.
Gold Glove after Gold Glove. By the way, knocking 40 to 50 triples every, or I'm sorry, 40 to 50 doubles every single season. One of the most prolific
Hmm.
doubles hitters on a rate basis of all time. And he did it for a solid, 10 years as a Yankee. So yeah, again, I'm depleting the resources here of other positions that you're going to be able to kind of attack because in my opinion, Jeter and Cano are the two consummate middle infielders. So I'm happy with that pick.
Yeah. I mean, exactly like I most bang for your buck at second is Cano, and that's actually an interesting stat. You said second most, so
Second most.
Kent's one. Kent is one.
I believe so.
That's actually crazy.
Isn't
I
that
don't.
insane?
Yeah. Okay. So where should I go here? Because since you picked, okay, I think just to get this off the board, because I think this guy I could save to the very end because you're not picking him.
Yeah,
If you do, I don't even know. So I'm just gonna go with Dom Mattingly.
that's
You
fair.
know,
That's
first
fair.
I need a first baseman. I think, let's get another leader in there. We need some to balance out the egos.
That's fair.
Uh, Donnie Baseball.
That's good. That's a great pick, man. It's
If
also
if I need
go ahead.
if I need a third baseman, he can somehow play third.
That's true. That's true. In an emergency situation, you can plug in there like you did in the late 80s. That's a
Yes.
great pick. Okay. Um, so now again, we're back in that question of I think I'm gonna have to go for a position of competition here.
Mhm.
There's a couple really good starting pitchers out there, but there's also a couple
Okay.
really good relievers that I don't want to fight over them at the end, especially when we're talking about um things like lefties, righties, like that can kind of get a little dicey.
Yes.
So however, I think I'm gonna have to do it. In terms of pure dominance as a Yankees pitcher, I'm gonna have to go ahead and take the needle out, jam it very firmly in my thigh, and select Roger Clemens as my starting
Oh.
pitcher. There are a few other really, really good options. I don't mean to
Yeah.
hate on any other starting pitchers there's been a lot of really good ones for the Yankees. Don't get me wrong. A couple that I know that you're not going to pick, like Guidry, had amazing peaks. But at the end of
Yes.
the day, when we're talking about somebody who has over 4,000 career strikeouts, I know he didn't have all of them with the Yankees, but over 4,000 career strikeouts, arguably a top 10 pitcher of all time, maybe even top five when we're talking about rate statistics.
I mean, war wise, he is number
Yeah,
one, but still.
that's
But
crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was number one
I'm
when it comes to
I'm
war.
like I'm I'm pretty sure
He
it's
pitched
Clemens,
a
but
lot of innings.
exactly. Like,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I wanted to
I'm
confirm,
happy
but
to that.
Cano does indeed have the second most home runs behind Jeff Kent. Nice pull there, by the way. He is basically 50 home runs ahead of Sandberg. That crazy?
That's actually crazy. Second base is such a weird position.
It sure is.
That's why I think it's so funny with that Mookie Betts is like playing there because it's like I feel like second base is a position not really for superstars nowadays.
Let me throw one more at you. This one is actually slightly sad just from the perspective of what he basically just barely missed out on. He is second all time in doubles for a second baseman, 572. He's two behind Charlie Gehringer, who basically was playing like before cars were a thing. So that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm happy you picked Clemens because I had two guys on my board and I didn't want to choose between them. I was waiting for you to choose one of them so I could
That's
choose
fair.
the other one. Um, but okay, wait, time out. So we're doing three outfielders,
Yeah.
DH.
Yeah.
DH is involved in this.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
you can rearrange these guys at the end however you want. If you end up with
Okay.
anybody but Babe Ruth, put Babe Ruth at DH, right? Like
Exactly.
that type of thinking. DiMaggio's
So
not the greatest center fielder in the world. I would prefer to probably have him DH, right?
usually, you know, it really is interesting. Like if we're talking about like peaks, like there is a player I'm thinking about because he was like very good as a Yankee,
Hmm.
even though I don't think people really think about him as a Yankee. But he was very good as a Yankee. But I think I think just for I think to shore this up,
Hmm.
I think actually, ooh, um, because I just picked my first baseman. Okay, I'll get the pitcher. I'm gonna take Whitey Ford.
That's fair. That's fair. He
You
one of
know,
the best ERA pluses in Bronx Bomber history.
historically that's one of the best pitchers in Yankee history. Let's get Whitey
Yeah.
Ford. Let's just do it.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I was very, very, very scared you were going to take this guy because to be honest, aside from him, not a ton of depth here. I'm gonna take Wade Boggs for third base. I need somebody who can
Hmm.
kind of like be in the middle of that lineup and just kind of spray singles everywhere, infields back, and run around third base, less than two outs. Wade Boggs, one of the best all time when it comes to just pure hitting, and I thought he was a decent third baseman as well. So I'm happy with the Hall of Famer as my seventh pick. That's just the Yankees for you, I guess, but for sure.
That is true. Um, so so we said righty reliever, left-handed reliever.
Yes, and then of course your closer.
Oh yeah, because I already have my closer. Okay, so I'm gonna get my right-handed reliever just because like let's just because I want to get this dude off the board because he's very good and go multiple innings if we need
You know,
him
and
to. I'm gonna go with Mr. Goose Gossage.
that's pretty great, pretty good. Another Hall of Famer on your team, and yeah, he could throw 3 innings, right? Because that was
That was
the
the
job
era
of
where
a
they
closer back then. Yeah.
so
Um,
so funny.
you're gonna clear all the relievers out. I gotta start taking some people, right? So as my
Yeah.
closer, I'm gonna have to go with another guy. No steroid suspensions as of yet, but he sure looks like he's done steroids, especially when you look at him this year with the Pirates. So
Oh,
I'm gonna say Aroldis Chapman. I gotta
okay.
have him as my closer. I gotta have somebody who's an elite back of the bullpen because I mean he already took like the two Hall of Famers, right? So I'm
Yes.
gonna go ahead and shore that up. Take Aroldis Chapman as my closer. Got some other picks for relief pitchers, but I'm happy with him as my CP.
So you know what's funny? So
Hmm.
like looking at this DH pick, there's two names I'm really interested in, and one of them is I guess the more notable name, but the other
Hmm.
one was like definitely better as a Yankee. So like I'm really curious to see how I'm gonna handle that one.
Yeah. I just
So
want to throw
I
out one little thing, by the way. Aaron Judge is a higher OPS for his career than Mickey Mantle. Anyway, just want to throw that out. And DiMaggio. And DiMaggio.
that's
But yeah.
actually crazy.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Okay. So I think for like my DH spot, I'm gonna take Dave Winfield.
That's a good pick. And you can also have him kind of like go in there and play the outfield.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Switch
yeah.
him out with Ruth. Yeah,
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, never mind. What am I talking about?
yeah.
Ruth is sitting on the bench eating hot dogs. Winfield
Yeah,
is gunning dudes out. Right.
exactly. That's a great
My
pick.
D8. Yeah.
Yeah, great pick to kind of like shore up that outfield.
Of
Okay.
depth there, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So now we kind of getting interesting because like I got my outfield covered. Don't have a DH yet. My infield's pretty much done. I do need a catcher. Okay. This is when it gets a little interesting. As a just kind of pure power pick, like I do need somebody who can kind of come in here and just kind of blow the cover off the baseball still. And
Mhm.
there's not a lot of those guys left that we haven't gone off the board. But I'm gonna go ahead and take a guy who had one of the best on base percentages ever for a Yankee, which is to me kind of crazy because you don't think about him in this regard as having one of the best on base percentages ever. But I'm gonna take Jason Giambi as my DH.
No.
Yeah.
That was so you know what's funny? That was the guy I was just talking about now.
Mm,
Was that technically he was better than Winfield like with the bat. Seven
yeah.
years with the Yankees, Giambi had like a 140 OPS plus and like 207 bombs.
Yeah. 209. Very close. But yeah, he had
And
a 404 on base percentage for his
oh,
career,
that's
or for the Yankees time. 404.
that's a good one.
925 OPS. Not a guy when we're looking at those kind of like, especially like the slash stats, he's not going to be up there with the best Yankees of all time, but he's sneaky good. And for a guy as well, it's like, okay, let's have Boggs go up there and slap a single, Jobby bomb, single bomb, single. There you go. That's how you win ball games.
That's such a good one because like I was thinking because that was on my list. I was like, is he gonna pick him? Like, I don't know if he's gonna pick him, but you did.
I got the
Um,
roid needles out on my team now too.
yeah, okay, so we're trading. Um, okay, so I'm gonna shore up this position because so I could go with okay. I'm taking an underrated Yankee. This is kind of a poll for
Okay.
even though he's a Hall of Famer, so it's not a poll, but like I think he's not really taught. He gets forgotten because he's one of those guys who got sent to World War II
Oh,
and
okay.
then during his prime, and it's Joe Gordon.
Joe Gordon. Interesting. You got any stats on Joe Gordon? Honestly, he wasn't even
Okay,
on my depth chart.
Joe Gordon played in 11 seasons and had a 55 WAR. For the Yankees, he had a 120 OPS plus in 7 seasons. He won a bunch of championships with them.
Damn. Okay.
Won five, I think won 4 rings with them. He won the MVP, followed up with a pretty good season, and then went to WAR for 2 years.
Damn.
So like the first
Things were different back then, man.
yeah, like is that so crazy to think about? Like yeah, like
He
our
took a
best
war
athlete
break.
just went to war. Yeah,
Yeah. Not
but
not not baseball war, like real war.
yes, no, like was storming Normandy.
Exactly.
No, but so in his peak, he had a 5 year peak for the Yankees. He made the All-Star game every year, and in that span, he averaged 25 tanks a year. He hit around 300 with a 846 OPS. You know, was a pretty good defender. I'm going with Joe Gordon
That's pretty
because
great, man. I
second,
like
second base,
that.
second base doesn't have a lot of depth, and he's a Hall of Famer.
That's a great pick, dude. All right, so one of the things I do want to bring up here when we're talking about like these players is yes,
Yes,
it's pretty obvious that if you took someone like Mickey Mantle and threw him up against Emmanuel Clase's 103-mile-an-hour
yes,
cutter, he's gonna have a hard time adjusting, right?
of course.
We're thinking about this in terms of numbers, we're thinking about this in terms of stature. We're not thinking about this in terms of the actual logic. Unfortunately, as much as I love Babe Ruth, he would not have been the first overall pick if we're talking about that. So this
Yeah.
is mostly a thought experiment where we get to kind of like, wax nostalgic over great Yankees, but that shouldn't take away from how cool it is to talk about this stuff. So, that just keep that in mind that it's like, like I have a guy right now that I want to throw out there. Amazing player, especially on a rate basis with the Yankees. However, he did literally make his debut before World War II. So, you know, all that with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
the guy that I want now I don't know if I'm going to have him be a utility guy or what, but I just want to go ahead and get him because I don't know if he's on your board, is Charlie Keller. Hear me out here.
Hmm.
286, 410, 518 for his career. He played all but two of his years with the Yankees, 11 years. He had a 152 OPS plus for his career, 153 with the Yankees. And that includes multiple seasons, 3 seasons where he hit 30 home runs, and that was around World War II. He finished his career with almost double the amount of walks as strikeouts, and he
Hmm.
actually did play both right and left field. So I would feel comfortable potentially toggling him as my utility guy out there in the outfield as well. But for now, I'm going to slide him in there as my last guy essentially for like the outfield
Yes.
thing.
Okay.
He's going to be my guy.
Did he make his debut before or during the FDR administration?
He made his debut during the FDR
Okay,
administration.
okay, 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 okay.
He was
For
born
me,
before it.
yeah, for me, the way I look at it is like around World War II, I have no problem picking those guys, but when it gets to like 1901, I'm like,
I
okay,
know
like
it because
I'm not picking Jack Chesbro. Like
they were
I can't do
hitting dirt balls
it.
back then. They're hitting spitballs. I do want
I'm
to
not.
note I did forget a little bit of the like the integrity of my team. I do no longer have another outfield position. So this is the outfield utility guy is going to be Charlie Keller. I
Okay.
don't that's not open anymore.
Yeah, no, it's funny. One of the positions I have open, which I'm gonna take him just because he is a legend, the Yankees legend, is I'm gonna get I'm gonna get the Riz, Phil Rizzuto. I hate that
That's
I called
great.
him this morning.
That's yeah. Immaculate
But
Riz.
yeah, I'm gonna get Phil Rizzuto because that kind of finishes my like offensive team before I have
Yeah,
to get into
yeah.
the
He
utility guys.
great best defender in Yankees history in terms of
Yeah.
defensive war. I mean, and a winner, right? I mean, if we're gonna go with old school terms here, bro. We have a lot of guys from like the time in which cars couldn't get but 10 miles to a gallon. Guy was a winner. He was on winning teams.
Listen, he was a winner at winners. Okay, but still,
Exactly.
but think about this though, is that Joe Gordon had two D-War seasons. Like
Oh,
D-War
yeah.
seasons of 2+. Now
That's pretty
Rizzuto,
great.
Joe Gordon, Rizzuto up the middle is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, for sure. All
Yeah.
right, and that leaves me to I have a position that's obvious that I like need to pick, but it's like I
Yes.
also can leave it because like you already picked yours. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one's gonna keep marinating. For now, I'm going to choose for my right-handed relief pitcher. Give me Dellin Betances.
That's a
I
fun one.
I want a prime Dellin Betances with his
That's a good
knuckle
one.
curveball going out there, posted 220 ERA plus seasons. Left with
I
just my
like that one.
left-handed relief pitcher. And I have someone in mind for that. So you better not pick the guy that I have in mind.
I'm picking my left-handed reliever right
All
now,
right.
actually. I just need to wait. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do one more just check to pick this guy over the other
Okay.
because you know I already have Mo. So
Yeah, yeah.
it gets
Don't
to a
be
point
greedy,
where
dude.
I already have Mo, so trying to pick one over the other here is kind of gonna be like we're picking straws,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But this guy is a because there's two really good like historical picks when it comes to lefties. Once you take out
Yes.
Chapman, right? And one may have more accolades, but the other one is kind of a dog.
Yeah,
One has
I have one that's kind of like on the threshold of like what you'd consider because it wasn't with the Yankees for a ton of time, but he still was really good when he was with them, which is kind of what we're going off of. So
yeah, okay. So I'm gonna pick Sparky Lyle.
I had him on my depth chart. He really good pick, 288 for his career, 1400 innings pitched. Obviously, I believe he was a Hall of Famer, or at least he's very close to being a
He
Hall
won
of
a Cy
Famer.
Young. He won a Cy Young out of the pen.
That's actually
So
crazy.
all that
So
matter. He won a Cy Young out of the pen and had a career 148 ERA plus for the Yankees in 745 innings.
I think pretty much anybody's going to take that. So
Left-handed reliever, Sparky Lyle.
I want to give you my logic here before I tell you who I picked. So
Okay.
John Wetland threw
Yes.
122 innings or 122 games for the Yankees. 122,
Yes.
right? That wouldn't be ridiculous. If I said John Wetland, no one would bat an eye, right? No one would bat an eye.
Yeah.
Obviously. Andrew Miller threw 104 games, almost the same
Uh,
amount. And he had 177 strikeouts and 107 innings with a 177 ERA. So I'm going to throw Andrew Miller into my bullpen as a lefty. You know, I know we said the thing about like
damn. So
comparing. Yeah.
you have the three.
Yeah, I have the big three from that era.
Oh,
I know we said about comparing whatever, but I will say that if Babe Ruth somehow ends up having to face these guys with today's standards, Miller's slider will make Babe Ruth retire early. That thing was like a career ender, a just exploding masterpiece. Maybe, in my opinion, the most dominant single pitch I've ever had the pleasure of seeing in its prime. I don't know how anyone ever made contact with that.
yeah, that's a great pick. I considered that because like you said, like he pitched, he didn't have that much time with the Yankees, but when he did pitch for the Yankees, he was absurd. And
Absurd.
isn't it hilarious though that the two Yankee relievers that season pitched against each other in the World Series and
That
they
is
traded
nuts.
them? The Yankees blew it up one time and it
Uh,
worked.
seriously, seriously. What
And they
they
got
managed
one.
to give up was just like so perfect for what they ended up getting back. They got Chapman right back.
Yeah, that's so yeah, that was crazy. Okay, so now I need two utility guys.
Two utility
That's what I'm
guys.
missing.
Yep.
An outfield utility guy and a infield utility guy.
Yes.
Or but by utility, do you just mean backup?
I'm gonna say yes. The thing is, you could easily like try to come up with all these standards. Mine is gonna be this. Okay, I think that these guys
Okay.
should have had to play at least two positions in like the infield or the outfield, right? So like the Tommy guy
Okay.
played a decent amount of right field, decent amount of left field. So that's why I'm gonna have my excuse to have him on the team.
Okay.
If this guy spent no time any position other than first base, probably not, because that's not really you're not really backing
Okay.
me up, right? That,
That's
that
fair.
actually rules out one of my main guys, unfortunately, that I would want, because we basically only played one position. But that's what I think.
Okay. So it's outfield utility and infield utility.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the board for a second.
Have to
Um,
consult the depth chart.
because of the Jeff depth chart, I'm not gonna take Coach Prime.
That's
Thought
fair.
about that. I think as like as a vibes guy, I'm gonna take Coach Prime as a vibes guy. Um, okay. So a utility guy. I have an interesting one for the outfield, but I feel like there's a better
Yeah,
like
yeah. There's
you know what
there's
I mean?
again some interesting ones. They have such depth out there.
Whoa. I mean, he didn't really like. That's the thing. I'm trying to think. Like, it's like I'm trying to think of like there's this one dude I'm like really looking at, and he. Okay, what if I took? Do I? Well, no. It's. I mean, I don't really like to
I
think
got a
about.
vibes pick for you. I got a
You have
vibes
a
pick
vibes
for
pick.
days. Yeah,
Okay.
if you wanted him, I
Oh,
can't get him because my team's filled. Mine would be Brett Gardner. I think might be not be a bad option,
that's a good
especially
vibes
like
pick.
for his like his prime. He did have a lot of speed and stuff too, which is what you want. Played decent
That's a
center field, decent left.
that's a great vibes pick. But I think I'm going to go with. I mean, he only played one position, so that's kind of a bit unfair. I'm going to pick for my outfield utility guy. I think I'll go with um Paul O'Neill.
Paul O'Neill's a great one. He also played some first base, so
Exactly. And
you get
I think
kudos for
that
that.
and he also hit 300 for the Yankees.
That's fair. That's a good one, man. It's a good
Those
one.
the thing is, I was kicking around another guy, but he really only played center field.
My one that I really wanted was Alfonso Soriano, and technically he did play like 9 games for them at shortstop, the Yankees, when Jeter was, I don't know, assumedly like, I don't know, taking a rest.
I think
I
he
don't
hurt his
know.
shoulder at
Yeah,
one point.
yeah, something like that. But like, that's the only reason that he wasn't like, obviously playing every day. So I can't say that he was anything to do with a utility guy. So
Mhm.
this honestly, this last pick for infield utility is a little hard, just
It's
because
very hard.
they don't have a. You would assume that they have a ton of great infield choices, right? But
Mhm.
they don't really, especially not when we're considering like the historical guys that were with the team for an insane amount of time. So I am consulting the depth chart again. We are consulting the depth chart, trying to see who we can come
Mhm.
up with here.
Because
Um,
you see, that's the thing. Like every guy I think of, like I can't really justify it.
exactly, right? It's like you want like a great one would be Robinson Cano if he hadn't already been
Right?
taken, right? Because it's like, I bet he could have played shortstop. I can almost
Yes,
promise you he could have played shortstop, but there's no way in hell you can claim that like he was a utility player by any stretch of the imagination. So, okay,
exactly.
you know what? I'm gonna go with one of the best um on base hitters of the 1990s. He did indeed play a lot of shortstop, played a
Hmm.
lot of second base. So I'm solid with this pick. Uh, I'm not gonna the latter half of his career. We're not gonna talk about. Okay, he
Okay.
also did play outfield in the latter half of his career, but
Okay.
I'm just gonna go ahead and choose Chuck Knobloch as my infield
Ah.
utility guy. He had a really underrated career, almost like a 50 career WAR, even though he did end up like spraying the ball all over the field, like it was like an A-Rod steroid into his left thigh. But it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. At the end of the day, he still had a really solid career. He can play a lot of positions, and hopefully now with modern like psychiatric help, he can manage to avoid killing someone in the first row. He is my
Dude,
infield pick.
the yips are
The Yips are
no
no joke.
joke. Okay,
Crazy.
I did a I pulled a name. I was able to
Okay.
pull a name for my utility guy. Like
Alrighty.
I actually like a very good name.
Ah,
Kind of fell into my lap.
alrighty.
Like historically, like very good. Okay, so
Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Gil McDonald. McDougal. My bad. McDonald. Gil
McDougal.
Mc
That's an old name. I like that. That's
Gil.
quintessentially from another era.
I can't believe I botched that. I can't wait to have some Yankee fan yelling at me if because I botched Gil McDougal's name.
For sure.
No, but okay, like but for real though, this guy had above average. This guy was a 111 OPS plus hitter. He hit 306 as a rookie, and he had a 40 career WAR in only 10 years.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
I'll throw, but like the most important part is that he split games between second, third, and short. He had 500 games at second, 500 at third, 284 at
Wow,
short.
he was
That's a
actually
utility guy.
like a
An
utility
actual
guy
utility
by
guy.
definition. I like
Yes.
that, man. Alrighty, so
Okay.
with one position left, there's one pick left, and it's like it's catcher. I gotta pick a catcher. This is the catcher section. So I'm gonna pick a guy who is probably not one of the top three options, or yeah, a lot of people are gonna think about. Obviously, it's gonna be Posada, it's gonna be Berra, and it's gonna be Thurman Munson. I'm not picking any of those guys. You know who I'm picking?
Mhm.
I'm picking
Who?
Bill Dickey. Had over 200,
Ooh,
had over 200
number
home runs.
eight.
Yeah, yeah.
Number
Had over
eight.
over 200 home runs in his career. But here's the thing that I really wasn't aware of in my Bill Dickey historical knowledge. 313, 382, 486 for a slash as a catcher. Like really truly insane. Hall of Fame numbers by far. He also did because it was the 28 when he made his debut, had 72
Mhm.
triples. So like, we have that power speed
Bring it
combination.
back.
Yeah, yeah, we have that power speed
Bring back the
combination
triple. Like
for sure.
the thing are the Yankees the only team to have multiple like guys retired at the same number?
I don't know. It sounds
Because
like that would be
they've
likely.
Berra and Dickey at 8, and obviously Mo and Jackie at 42.
That's
I don't know if they
crazy.
double. I don't. Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I think that they probably are. I'm probably gonna get grilled for like blanking on that, but okay. So
We're
we
down to
had
our last
everything.
position, man. Who's gonna man this club?
Wait. Okay. I think just because I think we should add a vibes guy pick.
A
Very
vibes
easy.
guy. Okay, all right. You know what?
After let's pick
Yeah.
manager first, and let's do pick a vibes guy.
All righty. I like that. All right.
For manager, it's my turn, right? Yeah.
Oh, it sure
Because you
is.
just picked. For manager, I'll go Tory.
Yeah. He's the
I
best.
mean, yeah,
He's the best.
yeah.
All time. It's him or this guy. I don't know how he's gonna handle like the modern era. I don't know how he's gonna handle social media. Probably not like it, but Casey Stengel is my pick. Arguably
Oh, that's a fun one. That's a fun one.
the most successful manager in terms of World Series that has ever existed. So I'm comfortable with him as the guy
Yeah,
heading my team.
awesome pick.
I don't know how he's going to respond well, if he's going to respond well to Giambi or to Henderson. I don't think he like
Nothing's
it was
respond what a
yeah,
Henderson.
I don't think he was around during integration when he started. So like that's going to
Might
be
be
an
a bit
interesting
rough.
dynamic. But yeah,
Oh, dude, that's something we didn't consider. Is David? I actually, Ruth had a good
Ruth was a
had a
good person. He actually was when it comes to like his
Ruth.
race relation stuff. He
Yes, yeah,
barnstormed a lot.
Yes, yes. Okay, so like I'll actually yeah. So that's probably not a problem with this team
Yes.
for any of them because I
No, it
don't think
doesn't
of anyone
seem
who's
like.
like
Thank goodness.
yeah. Thank God.
These aren't the
If I took
Tigers with like Ty Cobb or something like that.
yes, if if I took Jack Chesbro, that'd been rough.
Yeah, exactly.
No disrespect to Jack Chesbro, but I doubt he was progressive.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty
Yeah, no
fair claim there,
disrespect.
man.
Uh,
Alrighty. All right. A vibes pick now. The fun, less about numbers, more about just bringing that good energy. Who are you picking?
I'm between two guys because one of them is like just funny, like just for the fact that he was a Yankee, and the other guy is
Hmm.
truly like a locker room guy.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah, I have someone
um,
who's like not necessarily known the most as a Yankee, but is like probably one of the most positive guys all time when it comes to just like
I
baseball people.
I think I know exactly who you're gonna pick, and that's an
Mhm.
awesome pick. So I'll go with Brett Gardner.
That's fair. That's fair. Lifetime Yankee. And again, you know what?
Yeah.
These guys can play. They can play the field.
Yes.
So he can come out there in the ninth inning when Babe Ruth like belched a double out in the left center field
Yeah.
behalf and actually
Pinch
like,
runner too.
yeah, yeah, pinch runner. My guy is gonna be a little bit less useful from that perspective. But you know what? He had a great power campaign with the Yankees, one specific one. He still managed to put up an 830 OPS, 495 slugging, pretty decent. I'm gonna take Curtis Granderson as my pick.
Oh,
One of the best guys in baseball, in my opinion, when it comes to
I
just
mean,
like
he was
his
awesome with the Yankees.
he was pretty great with the Yankees and just an amazing guy and the kind of guy I would want on my team. That's for sure.
That's a phenomenal pick. I thought you were gonna go with Todd Frazier for some reason, but
That would also be a good pick.
that's actually Curtis Granderson. That's an amazing pick.
I
Love
appreciate
that
it,
one.
man.
He had a
For sure.
30 season with the Yankees.
Did he?
I think.
I thought it was with just the Tigers.
Well, he may have also had one with the Yankees. He had like a crazy season
He
with the
had
Yankees.
40 homers with the
He
Yankees
had
in
40 homers. I think that's what it was. He had 40
2012.
homers
He
with the
had 40
Yankees.
homers in back-to-back years
Oh,
is what it was. And he still did steal 25 bases. Pretty
yeah,
insane.
he had yes, yeah, 41, 25. But it was because that's like a dead Yankee year. That's when 2012 is the year that Jeter broke his ankle against the Tigers. Was that
Yeah.
2011?
He did that in
2012,
20
right?
he did that in 2011. Granderson did. Yes, and Jeter did break his ankle in
Against 2012 because the
2012.
Tigers got swept that year by the
Mhm.
Giants.
Sure did.
I
Oh
remember.
yeah.
I
Oh
remember.
yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think these are some pretty solid teams, you know. We're going
I
like
think it's well
up
balanced.
up and down the okay, let's do a quick recap. We'll go, left field over and we'll just recap everybody that we've drafted.
Okay. Okay.
You go
So
first.
okay. So in the outfield, I have so I wrote this kind of out of order, so I kind of cooked it. But let's just say I had in the outfield, I had Dave Winfield,
Okay.
I had Mickey Mantle, I had Babe Ruth, and what am I missing?
Three
I just
all-timers.
yeah, yeah.
All-timers.
Oh
Your
yeah, and
outfield
Reggie
utility guy.
and Reggie Jackson. I got it. My bad. I
Nice.
literally it's the only guy in my position next to. And then in the infield, it's third is Zayrod, short is Rizzuto, second base is Joe Gordon, first base is Donnie Baseball. Also could be a utility guy if some
Yeah,
guys are just not feeling good.
exactly.
A-Rod stuck in the locker room looking at himself. Starting pitcher is Whitey Ford. Closer is Mo. Come on, you got to get that. And then our other relievers is Goose, Gossage, and Sparky Lyle. All-time
Definitely.
names, all-time baseball names.
All-time baseball names.
Come on, bring them back. Come on.
Yeah.
Catcher's Yogi Berra, gotta have a leader there. Utility guys are Paul O'Neill and Gil McDougald.
McDougal.
McDonald. Manager Joe Torre and the ultimate vibes guy is Brett Gardner.
Pretty great, dude. I'd be very
I love it.
happy with that team.
I love it. I love it. I love
That's
it.
also a Yankees team, if you know what I mean. Like it's not just all
Yeah.
about the numbers. Like you got some picks in there that are like really
Yeah,
quintessential
yeah.
Yankees. For me, starting left field, we got Ricky Henderson, of course,
Yeah.
best leadoff hitter in the history of baseball. In center field, we're gonna have Joe DiMaggio. I'm gonna go ahead and throw him out there. He had some good seasons out there
Of
with
course.
the glove as well during his prime. In right field, we got Aaron Judge. Maybe I'll slot him over to center field if DiMaggio ends up booting it a little bit around there. Then at third base, we got Wade Boggs, another Hall of Famer. Jeter's at shortstop. I'm pretty happy there. Cano, second base. First base, a little guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, named Lou Gehrig. Catcher, we got Bill Dickey. Very happy with that as well. Infield utility, Chuck Noblock. Outfield utility, Charlie Keller. Our vibes guy is going to be Curtis Granderson. Absolutely amazing guy to have on the team. Starting pitcher is going to be Roger Clemens. Our right-handed relief pitcher is Dylan Betances. Lefties Andrew Miller. Closing pitcher Aroldis Chapman. It wasn't intentional. I was not collaborating with the 2015 fan base for the Yankees on that bullpen, but that's how it ended up shaking out. And then our manager is going to be the winningest manager ever in terms of World Series, Casey Stengel.
I love it. I think I love both of these teams. I think we both had a fine draft strategy, so it's pretty even.
It is pretty even. If they had oh, I did forget to mention Jason Giambi at DH. I almost forgot
Oh,
my
it's a big
steroid
one.
needles in the bus.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I almost forgot my steroid needles, but we got them. We got them. Yeah, if
Yeah,
these
no,
teams faced off in a 7-game series, I don't really know who would win.
yeah. I mean, that's a very good point. I think another thing too is I don't think there's anyone glaring who's missing.
No,
Like
no, I
I'm
don't
look
think so.
like I'm looking at my thing because
Bernie
wait,
Williams, you could arguably
Bernie,
argue for the outfield
yes,
utility. I was thinking about taking him, but again, when we're
but he
thinking
only played
about
center. He only played
exactly.
center.
And when we're thinking about also in terms of again, relative to their era, Charlie Keller is who Bernie Williams wishes he could have been, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Because a 152
Yeah.
OPS plus, and everyone would love a 152 OPS plus. Still crazy that Charlie Keller with his 152 OPS plus and crazy numbers from back around like before the atomic bomb is still somehow worse than Aaron Judge, as is Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio. They both have a lower OPS for their career than Aaron Judge. That's my stat of the day. I'm going to take away from that and I'm going to tell that to everybody I know, which is just
Yeah,
that Aaron Judge.
I feel like we just I think the in conclusion is we need to show more respect to Aaron Judge.
Seriously, dude.
The three
Seriously.
to the conclusions here are um
Derek Jeter's better than
more
you remember.
yeah, show more respect to Judge and please don't grill me over Gil McDougal.
Exactly. That's the overall point of this. All right, dude.
Exactly.
All right, dude. It was great talking. I look forward to doing another one here soon. Comment below, of course, anybody that you think we might have missed or anybody you would have taken, what your draft strategy would have been. And we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you for watching.